Hi everyone, welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth with Scott Lembriel and Perry Beans.
I see Perry's got her extraterrestrial glasses on, so she can see
Yep.
farther.
hmm How are you today?
I'm on planet Earth. I guess
Me
that means
too.
everything to everybody everywhere. He's on planet Earth. Oh my God. Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, planet Earth, you're right.
It's a tough one. Nothing normal about this planet or its people. They might convince themselves they are, but underneath it all, most of the populace of this planet know there's something really out of whack here. Pretty big time. I think you have an air conditioner or something on.
Oh, yes.
You turn that off, it starts humming in the background. Okay. So before I clicked on record for this radio show journey, you had a question from someone that watches these shows. And what did they ask?
The question from Brazos9474. I love your show. I look forward to every new adventure. Please ask Scott and about ethics of calcification of pineal gland and awakening.
Ethics of classification? That doesn't make sense.
Calcification
Oh,
of the,
calcification. Okay.
yeah.
Diet on Earth is everything. And people on Earth are not eating correctly. The vast majority of the 7.5 billion people are eating what they should not be eating every day. They don't know it. They were brainwashed from birth and from their parents and predecessors and religions and governments to eat and live the way they're living. And when they eat things, they're not actually designed to eat, even though doctors who die of the same diseases they try to treat you for eat the same way. There's something really out of whack about this because I don't blame them. They haven't learned anymore. They go to medical school all over the world and they become PhDs, doctors, in medicine, one specialization or another. But they're never taught anything about cures in those universities whatsoever. Probably doesn't even come up as a word. I find that incredibly strange that they're not taught anything about it because medicine is a huge international business that creates drugs based on allopathic medicine, which are done to address symptoms, not cures. I'm not saying that doctors don't do great things with you get in an accident and you're broken bones and you're bleeding, they give you a blood transfusion, they fix you up and sew you up. Sure. But when it comes to treating disease, they're in the dinosaur age here. And medicine is set up on this planet, supported by governments, whatever they do for profits, is about making a lot of money, the hospitals and the drugs they recommend, etc. And it's been set up like that since the turn of the century when industrialists got control of training in universities. They funded the PhD programs, so they determined what the curriculum would be. So they wanted to, and I can understand it, they wanted to make money off medicine. You can't make money off medicine if you cure disease. Now, can you? The entire structure of employees worldwide, the drug and pharmaceutical companies that are intertwined in it, they all grew up in it as well. Most of them that head up those companies don't really know what they're doing because their medicines have side effects almost always. And yet they're allowed to legally sell them. That's allopathic medicine. A choice that was made 100 years before any of you had any say in the matter. So this is what we have to deal with on Earth. And they're great at saving lives in emergency situations. I credit them that highly. But when it comes to addressing disease, radiation, chemotherapy, are you kidding? That's how they figured out how to make money off of radiation, off of spent nuclear waste from nuclear reactors, which were developed to make bomb grade ore. We have a military-industrial complex society worldwide. China, Russia, United States, India. They're based on making weapons and smarter weapons and more deadly weapons to defend themselves from, mostly from foes that don't exist, that they've created from their fear. And so we are and have a monetary system worldwide that's based on developing and making weapons and airplanes and commercial aircraft and all of that, automobiles. But basically, it's based on war. That's why it was coined the military-industrial complex. Not bad, except when it's used in a bad way. When people make a decision on any political level on Earth, or any religious level on Earth, from any kind of fear or fear influences, they are always making the wrong decision, because fear is negative. And if you follow one of the basic laws of physics, every action creates an equal and opposite reaction in space-time. In that energy field out there that's between all planets, the galaxies that float in it, what more advanced races know is a living power, a living energy that is not nuclear or atomic at all. They're just finding that on Earth. Quantum physics, they're finding it out in the CERN Super Collider in Switzerland, when they crash particles together and they can see this other energy that doesn't quite follow the laws of physics, and they don't know what it is. It's finer than electrons and protons and neutrons, and it's behind everything, and it's packed out there in space. So they call it the God particle. More advanced races know how to work with that energy. So when they're working in physical matter ships with non-physical matter, non-nuclear energy, they figure out how to get around things. Duh. There isn't any other way to do it unless you work with that energy. I suppose the most advanced, probably the most classified scientists on Earth that can't tell their peers in the academic community, fellow PhDs, what they know. They know that there is what they call a 0-point toroidal electromagnetic field around a planet energy out there. And it's not just empty void anymore. It's not oxygen, so it's void of that, but it's not empty. It's full of another type of energy that physical eyes can't see. They can detect infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays, and theta rays, and all these other things, if I'm saying that right, that come from different levels of this one energy. And they can detect it on instruments, say, there it is. They're really looking into parallel dimensions when they're doing that. It's really one energy. There is no limit to the speed of light, except the limits men's consciousness, Earth people, put on it, because they can only detect a limited way with physical eyes. So they limit it in their science, and they limit it in educating people, so they're limited. And some people want to drop that limitation in favor of warp fields and jumping, through interdimensional doorways and somehow getting around it. They don't have to get around the speed of light because there is no limit to it. They teach people that the light that came from galaxies came here for billions of years to get here. That's completely wrong, because they're basing their findings on what they can detect with physical eyes. Their own instruments tell them otherwise. They're finding out now with one telescope that sees further than Hubble ever did. The Big Bang Theory is going out the door now. It's shocking everybody, because it kind of proves that there wasn't a big explosion at the beginning. Changes everything. They have to rethink everything. That's what science should do. Rethink every time they get deeper and more evolved and get better at working with that one energy. People on Earth pray to it and call it divine spirit. But it is a living energy they don't understand by calling it divine spirit. They don't understand from direct experience how to communicate with it. What is the right communication with that power? And that energy that we can connect with through the pineal gland, which is getting to answer this person's question, I haven't forgotten it, continues up through all the dimensions and comes from a source. People call that God or the supreme being, but they don't know what it is. They don't think they have the intelligence to communicate with it or to even go up and visit. And they're scared to death to do it. Subconsciously, there's a lot of fear programmed in people on earth to really doing that. Their religious teachers tell them they can't do that. Just have faith. Don't think for yourself. Don't experience. Just believe. And then when you die, you'll get the answers. There's no proof, and never has been any proof on this planet, that when someone dies, they get all the answers. It is true that they don't die. The body, yes. Them, no. So there's a resurrection right there. They are risen because the body is no more. So what we really are that isn't a physical body is part of that energy out there that is non-nuclear. It cannot be destroyed by physical bombs and matter and beam weapons and anti-gravity or any of that. It is the energy that supports what we imagine in it. Calcification of the pineal glands, like getting calcium in your joints. It's pollution in the bloodstream. It starts to develop calcium around the inside of the pineal gland. And then that clear liquid, the pineal gland has these little rods and cones in it, like you have in your eyes for detecting frequencies of light, very limited frequency in human eyes on Earth. But it does, and they're tuned to different realities, different dimensions, which means as round or spherical beings that we are, not like this. It's the round spherical being that was made in the image of what they call God. It's not like this. But that's what people are taught on Earth, and can't blame them. They didn't have anything else to rely on than that. But that goes back into galactic history and Earth and solar system history that people on Earth are not taught, and they don't know. So they're left with theory and conjecture and debate, all of which cannot be proved. And enough people get together and say, this theory we believe in, there's a big bang, then everybody teaches that in school. But it's still theory. They can't prove it. And then something comes along, which has recently happened, and says, oh, that may not have been right altogether. People have been doing their scientific research based on that. And now that's got to be thrown out because it doesn't work anymore. So what I'm sharing about the pineal gland and why this circuitous route to get here has to do with clearing the pineal gland so that when a person, the spherical being they are, operates that body, which it does because brains and bodies and DNA do not run themselves. Heart don't run themselves. A being has to connect an energy to it to run it, just like you get in a car and turn it on or it sits there. When people on Earth wake up enough to understand this, to remember what they've been made to forget deliberately, that goes into galactic history before they were born here, then what they once knew will resurface in them. If people continue to live the way they live, thoughtlessly, carelessly, and unconsciously, consuming the mammals on the planet and sea life and bird life, there won't be any food left on this planet soon enough. Because as beings, we don't live on food alone. Bodies don't work just on what you put in your mouth. It's the energy that comes down from the being, the Atma that you are, or soul, into the body through these energy points along the spine that activate and run that system. And the pineal gland is the doorway through which you bring higher information when you're out of the body at night traveling, which most people are. They haven't learned from childhood to bring it back, so they don't. It's all a confusion for them. To bring that back here and enlighten this body that you grew up with on this earth requires a clearer mechanism to get it here. And when they bring back memory from higher realities, it doesn't go into the brain through the pineal gland. That's just a connecting point. The atma gets in or out of the body through the pineal gland and runs it often from outside the body. Doesn't even know it's doing it. So it's important to research and clear that pineal gland out if you have a problem with it that way. Because imagination rules everything. Period. And I'm not talking about anything that your brain can make up. Because the pineal gland, the brain, and the neurons in the brain cells do not think. They don't have emotion. That the purpose for the brain and the head of skull of a person isn't where they get their thought and emotion from. It comes from this, and it's getting it from higher realities as well, channeling it down here. How could people become brilliant in 18 years of training in school or be geniuses at birth when they haven't learned any of that here? Think their brain just got it somehow? It came from somewhere else. And people on Earth are not yet officially allowed to remember this because it's classified. Anything that deals with hidden truth and finding truth and crossing paths with truth and going beyond the lower worlds of time and space and going back home has to do with extraterrestrial beings and technology, even human, but not on Earth. That's the most highly classified thing worldwide. Not the hydrogen bomb. Extraterrestrials and anything to do with them has been more universally suppressed around the planet by governments agreeing since World War II than anything else because they're afraid of it. They don't know if they could come and take us over. They don't know how to defend themselves from when they found out, like Eisenhower did, that beings are coming here far more advanced than we are. And if they wanted to take us over, there wouldn't have been anything we could have done about it anyway. They could take us over in an hour. But there's never been any sign that they've ever attempted to do that, has there? Not once. So the fear is still there. So they develop weapons. Do you know what the real purpose of reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology is? A lesser side effect is like fighting Russia or China or, supersonic bombs and all that, and missiles. It's to develop weapons to defend us from an extraterrestrial attack. Period. All over the world. Scared the heck out of them when contact was made with certain leaders on this planet. Some of them were tyrants, totalitarian. Some of them weren't. That has to do with a treaty about Earth that was put in place 500,000 years ago. People don't know about that either. When we travel beyond this Earth, either on a ship or out of body, which is easier, and go visit other worlds and other parallel dimensions and higher dimensions, cross the void known to Buddhists and go up in the higher worlds, we look and see how things really are. We embrace a bigger God. We discover how many races are out there, how much more advanced they are, what they're like. We begin to be able to respect more than just life on Earth. Earth people are not really meant to raise masses of animals and slaughter them to consume them. The sea life is the same. It's being depleted. It's going away. Nuts and seeds and plants and fruits from trees. And I'm not saying to people, be a vegetarian, because you can't tell anybody to be anything anyway. They'll fight you on it. You just leave them alone. When people ask me how I live, I tell them because I'm truthful, I'm honest. But I don't try to preach it. I'm simply saying that people expect to go to a heaven of some kind when they pass away from here. Yet they act like barbarians to their environment, to the plant and animal and sea life and bird life, and then they expect to go to some heaven. And they treat each other even worse. I don't see it adding up to what they think it adds up to. here's what I'm saying. If people on Earth today were taken just to the nearest planet where humans live, it would be so vastly different in how it's run than Earth. It would probably give them a heart attack or kill them because they couldn't handle it. It's just it's like paradise, but it's right in the physical universe because their governments don't work like this. They don't have money. They don't tax people. It's not necessary. And let's say that vast groups of world systems have learned how to do this a very long time ago, ancient time ago. And Earth just doesn't know how to do it yet. Let's say that they learned it from some other more advanced race long ago. And so they were able to survive their technological advancements. Earth people are in a place right now where, because of the way they are acting to their environment, technically they don't deserve to survive here. They haven't earned it. They're not changing. But the potential in people on Earth to recover and remember who they are and change is very great. That's why I do the work I do. It's the only reason I'm on this world right now. Because the potential is so great. It happened. I can't hear you.
Is your end or my end?
I don't know what happened at
A few times